So by the spring of 2024, it was just, I knew that there was definitely an outside force that, for whatever reason, was determined to not see me prosper. Being grounded, being very vigilant about who is connected to me, who I'm communicating with, what I'm listening to. Again, the goal is actually to distract you. When we're talking about spiritual warfare, they want your attention. So whatever their hidden plan, their hidden strategy is, that they can execute that while they're distracting you. And typically, it's going to be through some variation of fear. So knowing that, continuing to do what I could in the short term to mitigate any obstacle they were trying to put into my way. Continuing to seek any kind of advocacy group, to do the best I could to communicate to the people in my life what was going on. But it's also very, it's very difficult when somebody's not seeing on a day-to-day basis what you're going through. And the people that I did share it with, you really can't, unless you're in that circumstance, you really can't appreciate how difficult that is to know that you're being intentionally oppressed and targeted. To really try to articulate or express to someone the efforts that you're having to go to just on a day-to-day basis to just navigate life. Having people intentionally putting things in your way, but mainly, and this remains still to this day, the biggest struggle that I have is blocking communication, blocking speech, blocking your ability to connect sort of to the outside world in a way. And any cultish group, any agent of an adversary, even some church groups, any kind of abuser, this is a common strategy. It is to isolate you. That is their actual goal. People that are very unhealed, you have to remember their mindset, their perception of reality is very different from everybody else's. Somebody who is an independent thinker, a free thinker, somebody who is in control of their energy. And this doesn't mean you're a perfect person. It just means that you're in control of your energy to the point that you can be aware that there is an outside force that is actively trying to affect your life in some capacity. You are aware that it is also because you have something they don't. It's just like the old saying, the devil does not rob empty houses. And what they want for that to do to you is create fear for you. That's what any agent of the enemy, of any enemy, any satanic organization, Luciferian organization that is in the shadow aspects. Now, it's my belief that they're all in the shadow aspects, but I know that there are some chapters of those organizations that do not believe in physical violence, targeting, and all of that. So just know that I am using these as a reference, speaking to the group who is also using that label in a nefarious way. So in some capacities, this is also about protecting people, even from different religions or different cultural doctrines, whatever. In a way, no matter what, if you're aligned to truth and integrity, you're protecting the right side up version of that as well, which in itself creates unity. So knowing that they were intentionally trying to create fear for me, and they had to get very crafty because of how self-aware I am. But being in control of your energy also means that you're very careful with who you communicate with, how you communicate, what you communicate. And for anybody that wouldn't know what's going on in your life in the moment, it's not about cutting anybody off, but it's also about protecting them. You might not understand that in the moment, but later on down the road, if they truly value and they want to be in your life, even if there might have been some confusion for them in the moment. And I did my best to anybody that was still responsible enough to be in my life. I did my best to try to articulate what was going on and the things that I was dealing with, and asked for their patience and their grace with me, and just recognize that it doesn't have anything to do with them, that this is a difficult situation because I know there's actively a group of people, for whatever reason, targeting me. And I still at that time just believed that it had something to do with being a Christian, with being a minister. I mean, when that's how you're showing up in the world, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any toxic relationships. I'm not even in communication. Like, I'm not even dating. I don't go on dates. I don't party. I don't drink. And that's another part of being responsible, though, because I was aware that there is an outside force, and I know how nefarious any agent of the enemy can get. You don't underestimate them ever. Never underestimate them. You know, even if you're completely enlightened, you never, it's a part of the art of war. And if you have not read that book, I suggest it. And, you know, it's, of course, you want to find that balance between making sure that you're still making connections with some people, but having good boundaries that you're honoring. And see, naturally for me, I've always been a loner and an introvert. I'm an extroverted introvert. I'd say probably now more introverted, but you know, I think for any intuitive, anybody that has a true spiritual calling, that's just a part of our life. It's a part of who we are. That's how we're made, because it's for our purpose. You know, it's like, that's how we're designed to be. And I feel better that way. Like, when you're very in tune with energies around you, and especially once you get to, you know, an ascended master's level, and you recognize a lot of what people are carrying around with them, it's not about casting judgment on those are the people that I'm called to serve and to work with, but at the same time, having boundaries that honors your needs and remaining obedient to God, being in complete faith, even in that area, understanding that this may be a time that I am not able to connect with people because of what I'm going through. So if you think of it in terms of like an aura or a protective bubble, a healing energy bubble, you know, however you want to look at it. And this isn't even about being woo-woo. This is just to give you a better understanding of how to know when to pull back, when to withdraw your energy, and helping you connect with your intuition. But understanding that when somebody has what would be considered like leaks in their energetic bubble, and this isn't, the thing is, you can't listen to people that are very shallow, that would try to twist and weaponize the words of somebody who's giving you a true physiological understanding. We're all energy, and you're always emitting energy, okay? It's what you're giving off. Even if you don't know that you're doing it, you are. And so when people are carrying around guilt, shame, addictions, fear, whatever it is, those lower vibrations, those lower emotions, those are all lower vibrations, their bubble decreases around them. So it's like that energy is like, it's kind of, right? Because whenever you're in those lower vibrations, that's how you feel. You just feel like you can't get up to fifth gear. And that's when people get into taking, 5-hour energies, and they might even start to experience sickness, like actual bad health. And so by springtime of 2024, I was very, very clear that the intention of this group, whoever they were, was definitely trying to, and very determined to, destabilize me because of the attack on my finances, my business, my brand, and the efforts to make communication and connection very difficult, wanting to isolate me, wanting to create this big gap of miscommunication. And I hadn't totally arrived at whatever their end goal was or intention was for doing this, but it always comes down to money. Always. You can put whatever spin on any secret society. You can put whatever you want on it. And they will create multiple layers of chaos and confusion. They will use religion, culture, rituals, whatever they can, to make it appear as though it's about something else. But in any area where people are not showing up for humanity through truth, integrity, compassion, selfless service, courage, where there is not that, there is an attachment, a stronghold to money. Now, power and clout, those kind of come right along with it. But anybody who is leading with money can be moved by money. Period. They are not loyal. They are not selfless. They are not integral, and they are not honest. It's just what it is. When you recognize that when you're anchored in self, when you are anchored in God, even if you don't believe in God, if you have the goodness in your heart and you believe in humanity, you're not selfish. You celebrate other people. You don't carry the spirit of envy. You don't carry the spirit of lust. You understand the value in sovereignty and freedom. The opposing group, whoever they are, and they're all over, their goal, their end goal is always going to be money. Anybody even being motivated to be invested in something like a secret society or any kind of hierarchical worldly entity. If you think about it, even people that go and get PhDs, they might love the medicine that they do, but would any one of them do that if they weren't getting paid what they're getting paid? Same thing goes for like pastors. Would anybody do what they're doing, belong to where they belong, if money was not involved? And again, yes, money and clout, fame, celebrity, that all comes along with it. But these people are so manipulative with the language and the wording and the labels that they put on it, when really all it comes down to is money. And I was crystal clear about that. They never have the power of being healed. No one who is anchored within themselves, they're self-actualized. No one who has that kind of control over their energy, they're honoring their needs. This does not mean that you don't get sad, you don't get tired, you don't get angry, whatever. It doesn't mean that you don't have those actual feelings. It just means that you know how to flow through those feelings. You know how to be introspective with them. And you know when it's time to release them. And you actively take the steps necessary to do that. You're actively working on holding yourself accountable. When you get there, how you feel on the inside will start to manifest in your outer reality. You will start to draw to you the people that are aligned with that energy. I already knew this before any of this happened, and that really didn't work in this group's favor because, again, none of them know me. None of them know me. And anybody that would have known me previously that would take part in something this evil, the reason that they don't know me now is because they had their own healing to do. You're just not going to align with that energy. You're not going to be able to communicate effectively. They're not going to be able to receive the way that you communicate. You're not going to be interested in the same things. They're not going to find value in the same things that you find value in. And a lot of people will not heal because of this. And a lot of people also will receive projections that that's their fault, that somebody else doesn't like their healing. There was even attempts, this was a strategy that was used on me in the last year, this like, nobody understands what you're saying, nobody receives you, and it's like, no, actually people do, it's just you don't. They actually do. Because again, like my brothers, anybody who was adding any kind of commentary was not actively a part of my life. So whatever perception they were holding as truth, I guess, was based on their limited belief, like their perspective of me, which was not accurate. And how could it be accurate? You're not in my life. If they weren't able to receive me, I didn't get mad about it. I wasn't frustrated or judgmental or anything. I was just like, okay, yeah, this is like, I'm growing, I'm changing, I'm going through, self-evolution. And it's like, it takes people time to adjust to that. But if people aren't actively seeking to try to understand you, or if they're not meant to, and see, I'm okay with just allowing God to naturally and organically align me where I'm supposed to be aligned. And so if people can't receive me for whatever reason, or they're not interested in it, or they're not actively supporting me in whatever I'm doing, I'm not going to get defensive. I'm not going to get judgmental. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just okay with that. It became more and more obvious from the springtime of 2024 up until now. I would say it's sort of decreased in the last 4 or 5 weeks, but other than the fact that they cut the brakes to my car. And the thing is if you will accept this as truth, you will be able to identify in your life who might have sort of a hidden agenda, or they themselves might be carrying around some false judgment. They might lack empathy. For me, because my purpose is to teach on love and true unconditional love and self-love, what I started to truly understand is people that don't speak the language of true unconditional love aren't going to be able to understand me. And of course, there's some sadness around that a little bit, but they have the option. It's not like I'm preventing them from having that option. That's their choice. And when I have spoken to certain people, to the best of my ability, to try to express that, if you can't discover and understand true empathy, which is a part of unconditional love and compassion, in the spring of 2024, I invited my brothers, and they brought their wives over to my condo for dinner. I got Olive Garden, and we were having dinner, and I was really, really trying to enroll my family in creating more of a solid foundation. kind of rewriting the way that our family works and operates, because there was a lot of separation, there was a lot of dysfunction. My mom had a lot to do with it. And that's just the truth of it. When you have a covert narcissist that has made it their mission to not be self-aware, and they will weaponize their children against each other, their grandchildren, when they will be just manipulative and abusive, and it is abuse. And until a family unit can understand how they can create boundaries together where everybody feels safe and respected and honored, because while I truly recognize there might not be any repair to a bond that was never there for me and my mother, but also me and my siblings, there was a big separation. I mean, my siblings really didn't ever know me even. They knew me at a very surface level, but I just never felt like there was a lot of, or if any, true unconditional love from them. And I don't say that in a negative way either. I do believe that at least 3 out of my 4 brothers do love me. I just don't think that we have the same understanding around love and what that means. And that's okay. That's really okay. That would be an opportunity for us, actually, if they chose to embrace it. And that's really where I was going with it, because I wanted to offer that for our children, for, cousins to be able to have a close relationship and feel respected, feel safe, feel like they had family to lean on, that they always had somebody that would be there for them if they go through a hardship, and that those were safe, unconditional relationships. And my nieces and nephews a lot of them have really gone through some pretty insane struggles themselves. A lot of them have already dealt with serious trauma, and they themselves, even if they haven't spoken on it, have dealt with a lot of dysfunction with my siblings. And when you have a family curse on you, that trickles down to every family. Just because they don't want to accept that doesn't mean it's not present, but you can see it's present when you look at the dynamics of the personalities, the dynamics of the relationships. When you have your children are already experiencing relationship issues, they're already experiencing multiple children from multiple fathers, job loss, depression, addictions, all sorts of things. And not all of them. And I love all of my nieces and nephews, even if I don't have a very close relationship with them at the moment. I love all of them. And I knew there was a lot of opportunity for us. I knew that it was going to take quite a bit of healing, though, a very open and honest and raw conversation and healing. But my ancestors, God, our Father, just walked me through that whole process. It's like I had the blueprint. Why would I not offer that up to my family? And that is also a part of the role of a curse breaker. And to me, I really thought that they would look at that as an opportunity. I really thought that I was going to be received better in that. I was very shocked, though, that conversation didn't go well. I had a little bit of a turbulent conversation with my brother leading up to it. It's like my brother Silvio really wanted me to have some kind of really great articulation or expression of what it is I was hoping to achieve. And it's like, that's the actual point of us collaborating on it, because I wanted it to be a group collaboration in that way. Like, I wanted it to be a foundation where everybody had the opportunity to feel safe and respected and loved unconditionally. And there are some other boundaries and things like that need to be put up. Like, you can't have people degrading each other, gossiping about each other. You can't have someone who is intentionally spreading lies and poison amongst a group, talking about people behind their back, or going outside of your family to spouses, ex-spouses, ex-boyfriends or girlfriends, friends of the family, distant cousins, and speaking specifically in a way which is negative or disrespectful about your family. You can't have that. Like the guys that were like soliciting me and saying really disgusting, awful things to me on the social accounts and stuff, calling my phone and pranking me, sending me weird texts, you know, walking past me in the park, trying to talk to me in a grocery store. The things that they were saying and the way in which they were being was so disgusting. I pray for them, but I also pray for the women that are attached to them, because you know those men are so deeply insecure. I mean, I'm a complete stranger. You don't know anything about me. It just goes to show you the level of ignorance that we're dealing with and how needed really strong masculine men are in terms of being leaders, but not just from behind a microphone at the front of a church on a stage. That isn't a true leader. Yes, that is a part of leadership to give directions and all of that, but true leadership is being an example through your family, through your businesses, through whatever it is that you're doing, your ministries, but helping people, demonstrating those characteristics actually, not just spouting off about how you do it. I'm not exactly sure what had it take a left turn specifically, but naturally I was talking about, for me, I never wanted to put my siblings in a position to have to choose between me and my mom. As a matter of fact, I felt like it was my mom that was actually doing that. But if I'm not respected, if I know that this is true and this is the boundary that I've put up, I'm doing that for me. And so if we can't create some way in which we have, okay, here's the boundaries, here's the rules, this is how we're going to honor each other in this way. And that applies to everybody. It applies to our mother also. But I'm not going to say like, oh, you can't have mom over for the holidays because then I'm not going to come. But it's like, you also can't get mad at me for not coming, because you should, if you truly love me unconditionally, you would recognize why I'm not. And the fact that my mom utilizes these opportunities to actually gossip about me is the example that she has shown them. It's like they want to project in me that I'm the one that's hanging on to stuff, but yet I'm not even there. But who is there, my mother, is still continuously working overtime to drive a narrative about whatever, which I don't even know why or what. I'm not aligning on it. And then my brother Carmen started speaking on, I needed my mom, and when Melena was little, you know, mom used to bring her to the birthday parties and stuff like that, and you weren't there. I got upset because I'm here trying to talk about moving forward and making progress and creating a new narrative, a solid foundation for our kids. Healing, moving forward, healing. And here he is bringing up something from 15 years prior. But here's the thing. I wasn't out being a socialite. My child's father, my 3-year-old child's father, had passed away. And I was in college and working a full-time job at an emergency clinic. Not only did he bring that up, though, it was the way in which he said it. He said, so, you know, not too long ago, I was talking with Tori and Alexis, that's my nieces, his daughter, and my brother Nick's oldest daughter, well, only daughter. But so he was discussing with my nieces something that I wasn't around for, when none of them really have been in my life at all, as, you know, in the last few years, really didn't have any kind of window into my life. And that's my right. When I'm going through a transformational healing period, it's like, it wasn't like they didn't at all, but there was an intention for that. You know, if I was away at college, it would have been the same situation. I was rebuilding and transforming my life and going through a lot that none of them were assisting me with. And when I did reach out for assistance, they declined. You know, when I asked my brother Carmen to co-sign for me to get an apartment after I was selling my house, because of the hit to my credit, it's like my credit sort of took a hit here. You know, I got terminated from a job, and then I had fraud on my unemployment for 8 weeks, and, you know, and then the electric and all of these things that had happened. He declined to do that. I didn't get mad or anything. It was like, okay, well, that's fine. But you also don't then get to speculate when I get it done anyways. I got it done anyways. It just was interesting to me that he was not only bringing up something from 15 years prior to that, but he was also himself saying that he was doing the very same thing that I was just talking about us healing. You understand? Like, you're actually telling me right now that you are sitting around with the younger generation. Then they're not young. These are grown. These are adults. These are women. But still, you're gossiping. You yourself are actually gossiping. And that is what I am speaking on is not appropriate. It is not appropriate for you as an adult man in your 50s to be sitting around gossiping with your daughter and your niece about your sister. That's not normal. Your 44-year-old sister. It's not. And the thing is that is a part of the culture of my family, though, that needs to be healed if I were to be a part of it. And that's why I'm not a part of it, though, because I'm not down with that type of culture. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's right. But my brother, who claims to be a Christian, you'd think that he would understand that. One, because gossiping is witchcraft. And two, when you are trying to hold someone to a timeline from 15 years ago, when your perception is not even accurate, it's like in his mind, he had adopted this programming that my mom was entitled to something, or that I was intentionally distant from my family while my mom was taking care of my daughter. No. I was going to school, working full time, nights and weekends, and almost every single holiday, because my child's father had just passed away. That isn't even anything by any family standard should ever be leveraged. Like, that shouldn't even have been a thought in his head. But that was 15 years prior. That means that whatever growth and every success that I had, all of the wins and celebrations and truly the forgiveness path that I had to get through with my daughter's father losing his life to drugs, that was evidence right there of how little they ever celebrated me. And my brother Carmen had no idea who I was, because he still has this skewed perception, this inaccurate perception from years earlier. That is a stronghold. They take a false memory, whatever snapshot they've gathered in their head that's not accurate, and they're still bringing it up and trying to place it on you as like guilt 15 years later. You know, the wives start chiming in. My brother Silvio starts chiming in, and it really was like I was one person, it was four of them. And I like both of their wives, Christy and Carla Lee. I respect both of their wives. I respect all of the wives that my brothers have had. I truly and genuinely have cared about all of them. Like, it was inappropriate. Like, it was like they had things to add. And if it would have just been like a normal group conversation, but you're over here in my house that I invited you to, and I'm trying to talk about the future and healing, push back against that. Well, yeah, it is important for us to discuss mom, because mom is the root of a lot of the struggles. That false program that you have in your head right now that you just admitted that you gossiped about, that gossiping spirit that is on you, that is actually what I'm trying to address right now. But because you're getting very defensive, but then projecting at me that I'm defensive, it's like, no, I'm not defensive. Me speaking the truth and being the only one that's willing to be honest and challenge my perceptions is evidence in your defense and the fact that there are 4 people here and one of me, and you're all, they literally started, all 4 of them were like talking at one time, and I just was like, okay, I give up on this conversation. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and argue in my house that I invited you over to for dinner. Like, where's the respect? It's like, it was very obvious. It's like you're not interested in even recognizing the fact that you have a curse on you and you're passing it over to your children, saying they're bad people. Again, I love all my nieces and nephews, but they all have dealt with the same type of struggles that they did. And until they're willing to confront that and the fact that God placed a healer, a chosen one within your family who actually did things very differently and had to sacrifice a lot to do that, and you can't honor that and respect that, that just means, for my protection and yours, I'm going to keep my distance because you don't get me. And the final thing I'm going to say about this little segment, every one of my brothers, especially Sylvia and Carmen, but every one of them, went through a stage in their lives, through kind of their 30s and 40s actually, where they dealt with divorce. They dealt with addiction. They dealt with dysfunctional domestic situations. A lot of struggle. I babysat a lot for both of them. Like, would sleep over their houses and their apartments on the weekends to take care of their children. One of my brothers, I even traveled out of state. Well, he was out of the country. Until you can own that you yourself have had struggles and you're not the same person, you give yourself that same grace and opportunity for growth. I mean, can you imagine if I was sitting here bringing up how I used to babysit your kids, and it's like, no, you can't talk about the future with me because I used to babysit your kids. I was just sitting around talking to my kids about how I used to be married to an alcoholic. It's like, no, no. That we're not even on the same page, and you don't even see what you're projecting out at me right now, and you have no respect for me. And there was other comments that were said too, like my brother first got there, he's like, are you going to be able to afford this place? Okay, first of all, one, how was that any of your business? You decided not to co-sign for me. You're not paying any of my bills. And hey, Carm, I've been taking care of myself my entire life. I know that, like, you don't want to talk about mom, but yeah, she didn't want me to live with her at 16. And I'm the one who's never been married. I am the one who has no toxicity in my life, no addictions, and no divorces. I know that's really hard to give honor to me, but your perception of me is inaccurate. And until you can confront that in yourself, then we could never have a connection. We could never have a bond. We can't, and I'm not going to make it worse and continuously do this back and forth with people that cannot see me accurately. I just thought that was a very inappropriate thing to say to me. And I think anybody who invites somebody over for dinner and you come in and you see what they've accomplished, and the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, are you going to be able to afford this place? You have no idea about the work that I have done and the success that I've had. You have no idea. And he made it very clear. Both of my brothers at that time did, but it became even more clear as time went on, and I started to learn more and more about what's been going on in the background for a long, long time. And I started to really have things come into focus for me. All of that being said, I don't have any ill will towards any of my family. Like, I don't walk around upset with my family, like carrying shit on. No, it's like, it's the curse that is on you, where you feel entitled to hold a limited belief about another human being and then project that belief onto them. Whatever narrative you hold on to, I'm not going to be around people that want me to accept a narrative that doesn't fit me. It's not even healthy for us to stay in communication, because we'll never be able to be honest with each other. And the truth of it is that my brothers have held a narrative that they can't admit that they didn't step up to the plate. Like they didn't. Like they really didn't. I mean, my brothers have all helped me here and there throughout my life. I'm not going to say they haven't done anything for me. When I did move, both of my brothers and their wives came over to help me move. So it's not that my brothers haven't ever done anything for me. And for a long time, my brother Silvio really was a strong truth teller in my life, and I could get a really grounded when speaking to him and stuff like that. But once I realized that they weren't being honest, and mainly that they just didn't see me accurately. But when I actually was trying to be more vulnerable with them, like when things came to a head and I ended up having to move, their lack of concern, it was just wild to me. It's like, you're my older brothers, and I'm sitting here telling you that I think somebody's trying to traffic me, that I have had a stalker for the last year and a half, and I'm showing you actual physical proof of it. I'm showing you that they have stolen my identity, they've stolen my business, they're interrupting my communication. Keep in mind, my brother Carmen was in the military also, and we have family that is a part of the FBI. Part of my mother's family, the Rollins family. I'll get to that in a minute. But they had resources, and that's really where you would think most brothers that were truly loved their sister and were protective and wanted to be supportive, like the things that they thought that they could support me in that, I didn't need their help. Like, my brother wanted to sit around and talk about my budget with me. He's like, bro, who do you think has been doing my budget for me my entire life? And this is my experience, and I have a right to talk about my experience, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, especially because every one of these people felt entitled to involve my child. It is sick to another level. Every single one of these people have impacted the well-being of my 10-year-old. Got to accept it for what it is. And when God would pull up right after something like that would happen, even where is like, okay, well, I tried. Same thing with like Nick and Shelby. It's like, I'm over here trying. I'm trying. It's like people just really desperately wanted to see me like squabble or like beg, or it became very apparent that they wanted me to like accept some kind of narrative that was intentionally being created. And it's like, no, sorry, that's not going to happen here. And it never will. You need to have your mental health checked out if you think that you have a right to paint a picture of someone, speak on someone that you have no connection to, that you know nothing about. That's your mental health that has an issue. And I don't know where that audacity came from. I really don't, but it's yours to deal with. And it's like, once you do the healing, it's like, I'm not arguing with you, man. Like, okay, like, whatever. And it truly just got like that. That conversation specifically, I really started to dive into better understanding strongholds, because I wanted, through the wisdom of God, to be able to understand why it was that my brother would communicate something like that to me. Like, why is it that my brother felt it was okay to essentially admit to me that he was gossiping with my nieces? And why is it that my brothers also cannot accept the fact that my mother has deeply traumatized me, and what she was doing was intentional, and that she has not learned to respect boundaries, and it is affecting our entire family. It's not just affecting me, it's affecting our entire family. Look at your children. Look at your relationships. Look at our entire family. You don't want to, that's okay too. It's like, all right, well, it's not that important to you. That's fine. It's not that important to me then, I guess. But anytime, it's like, it doesn't matter if it's family, friendship, a relationship, it does not matter. When you are self-actualized and you truly are healed, you don't make excuses for what it is that makes you feel safe, what it is that makes you feel good, makes you feel free and comfortable. And if they don't understand that, then okay, I'm sure not all of my family would agree with them as well. I definitely am certain that I have nieces and nephews that would probably really be able to understand what I'm saying, because they would also agree that there have been times that they have felt very judged, they have felt ridiculed, they have felt outcasted and defensive. Like, they haven't been free to just be themselves. Like, it has created a disconnect in all of our families where there's like this little bit of separation, and the energy in between is, fear. It's not safety. It's not comfortability. It's concern that there's an ulterior motive or something, or that somebody's going to weaponize something against you, or somebody's going to gossip about you if you say too much. It's like a defense mechanism. Somebody's going to make some underhanded comment. My family has this thing of low-key bullying each other, but a lot of it is very cruel. It's cruel. And I don't like it. It's no, I'm not going to be a part of that. And of course, my mother, whether they want to admit it or not, has targeted every single one of any outside person my family has dated. Like, if my mom hasn't liked one of my brother's wives or one of my nieces or nephews' spouses or whatever, that's just more, that's more for her to gossip about. And she will. My mom would go out of her way to call someone up on the phone to have a conversation about one of my nephews being gay. I tell her one time, I was like, do you realize the language that you're using is extremely prejudiced, and it is extremely not good. My mom has no self-awareness. She does not even understand what could potentially hurt somebody's feelings. And and see, then my mom gets defensive, but it's if I can't speak the truth to you, that you making a comment about what somebody can't do because they're a homosexual, why are you even talking about that? You don't need to be calling your friends up and talking to your friends about your grandchild's sexual preference. That's none of anybody's business. No, that's why people don't feel safe with you. But see, it's all an avoidance. It comes from a deep insecurity. It always does. And it's just they want to continue to mask behind whatever makes them righteous. It's my mom has not lived her life like a Catholic at all. Her perception of herself is completely skewed, so she can't see anybody accurately. But that isn't the energy that I want around me. I don't want my grandchildren, regardless of who they sleep with at night, not feel completely safe. I don't want my children to feel that way. I don't want my nieces and nephews to feel that way. I want them to feel like they are accepted and loved. And as a Christian, I don't need to force my beliefs on them. If somebody, any part of my family or anybody else, was interested in collaborating with me or working with me or wanting to understand the process of healing, understanding their trauma, because that is my actual role. That's what I do. That's my job. That's my business. If they wanted to do that, I want them to feel safe in doing that. And the thing is whatever is actually a wound will heal. That's the power of being a true Christian. We're not going to sit and talk about whatever the symptom is of the wound that you don't have healed, because it doesn't matter. And there are a lot of things that are a symptom of a trauma or a wound. I have my personal beliefs about a lot of things, but I don't need to project that onto other people. I don't need to project that. And it's who somebody sleeps with, it has nothing to do with an unconditional love, especially not for a family member. And I definitely am not going to go gossip or give other people leverage. That's witchcraft. And I don't want to be in that energy. I don't want to be in it for holidays. I don't want to be in it for weddings. I don't want to be in it at all. I just don't. And I'm not going to, because God doesn't want me there either. So